John Braun, John the Hitman Braun. I've known John for a long time. He and I met at some Howard Partridge conferences back in the late 1800s. Well, they weren't that long ago, but they were quite a while ago, weren't they, John?
Pretty much, yes.
John early on was talking about Google ads when most of us didn't know what a Google ad was. And today, and SEO optimization and all these things. And one of the things I love about John is he takes the very complex and often, what's the word I'm looking for? Slightly crooked world of online social marketing, web marketing, where people will purposefully kind of stretch things. And John puts it in perspective, says, here's what it is, here's how to use it, here's its effectiveness, and then says, you know what, go measure it. Go see if it works for you, but here's my input. So John, it's great to have you with us today and appreciate you joining us. I'm going to turn the program over to you so we can keep this thing rolling, because I know you've got some outstanding information prepared for us.
Yes, thank you, Doyle. I sure appreciate it. And it is such a pleasure to be on here. I'm going to try to get this screen share going and see what happens here. Can you guys see my screen? Let's see, right about now. Well, wait a minute, here we go. So it's a privilege to be here. You know, and HydraMaster has always led one of the big corporations in our industry that's led education. So it's just fitting that you guys did this. But I want to say thank you. I'm sure everybody that's going to see these videos later and that's part of these are super appreciative. I'm appreciative to be here. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be part of this 50th anniversary, and congratulations. I mean, not many companies make it to 50 years, right? So my hat's off to you, and I'm glad for what you guys are doing. And today we're talking about Google Ads. Like we just had that great intro. Thank you for that, Doyle, and SEO. And really, it's all about targeting the right clients, targeting the ideal clients. I am having an issue with, there we go. Okay. So a little bit about me. I started my cleaning business in college, and believe it or not, I started it just basically to practice advertising. Not many people actually start businesses for that reason, but I, truth be told, did. And I just wanted to have a business and kind of practice advertising, find out what worked, what didn't work. And one day I wanted to start an advertising agency. Well, one thing led to another, and I kind of stayed in the industry because I was making more money than I thought I would ever be making. And so I eventually got asked by other cleaners to do their websites and their postcards and their marketing. So it just made sense one day to go ahead and start an advertising agency that catered to cleaners. So about, by now it was only maybe 12 years ago that I started Hitman Advertising, where I do a lot of marketing for cleaning companies all over the world. Now, about 2 years ago, it's a little bit over 2 years ago, I sold my cleaning business. And I actually used to live in Florida, where I did a lot of this, hanging out on the beach. I used to have a boat. I used to love the outdoors. But recently, about 2.5 years ago, I moved to Colorado, where actually Doyle is originally from, where I do a lot of this now. And I do a lot of skiing and hanging out in the mountains. I just love the outdoors. That's basically it. But I say this to say two things. One, use your cleaning business to do what you want to do in life. Your cleaning business shouldn't rule where you live. Your cleaning business shouldn't rule what you do, or really even how much money you can make and how much you have to work. All of that can be adjusted. I saw a post the other day on one of the groups that said, I have a successful cleaning business, but I hate it. What do I do? And I just posted back and I said, well, you can do anything you want to do. You're an entrepreneur. Get up and make that business what you want it to be. So let that be an encouragement to you. If you're stuck, if you're doing whatever in your business, you can change it. You can rearrange it. You built the business from the beginning, right? Well, you can do whatever you want to do with it now. So go out and do that. Okay, first thing, we're going to talk a little bit about Google Ads specifically, and then we're going to get into some SEO strategies. I'm going to give you as much as I can give you in this 45 minutes or so time, so that you guys can be able to learn almost everything. Well, maybe not almost everything, but as much as I can possibly give you within this time that I've learned over the last 12 years. I've done websites and SEO and Google ads since it started, right? So I've looked at hundreds and hundreds of different campaigns for Google ads, for SEO, and I'm going to give you all that I can give you within this time. So buckle up and take some notes. I'm gonna give you guys a lot of content, a lot of information. If we have time, we might even do some Q&A, but I don't really know if we will, but we'll try. So keep in mind what Google ads are all about. Google ads are paid for. They're paid searches, basically, and they show up here at the top of Google, really even right above the maps area. So in a big way, that's a really sweet, unique part of Google ads. Some people realize they're paid ads, some people don't, but the big thing is they're up at the top, and they're great because you can turn them off when you want to turn them off. It's not like the old Yellow Pages campaigns where we would have to pay a monthly fee forever. But with Google ads, if you're slow, you can spend more money and advertise more. If you're super busy, you can turn the ads all the way off. If you need more business, you can spend 5 times what you spent last month. You can add stuff on a day-to-day basis. Usually you add something and within an hour, it's happening. You can put up an ad and in an hour it'll be showing up. So all of that makes Google ads really, really attractive. And one of the great things about Google ads too is it's different than a lot of other paid advertising that you can do, Facebook and a lot of the other media, because it's unique that people are specifically looking, they don't know who to find, and they're looking for that particular service, for that particular cleaning service. And anytime you can get in on that level, that's usually a pretty good ad media. So keep all of those in mind, some of the benefits. Now, yes, you do have to pay for the clicks. Anytime somebody clicks on one of your ads, you do have to pay for it. If a competitor clicks on your click, there are ways to actually filter that out, by the way, where you won't have to pay for the competitor to click. But a lot of the times people worry about that and don't want to do it because they think their competitor is going to cost them money all day long. One, if you have a competitor doing that, I'd probably go, yay, that guy's a complete low grade and he's not going to make it anywhere anyway if he's actually doing that. But even then, Google has ways to filter that out. And no, they never charge you for a repeat click within a given, I can't remember what it is right now, a week or some period of time. So don't worry about that part of it. That's not really the part to worry. The part to be concerned about is what Google can do for you. So the first thing that I want to go over, I see a lot of mistakes on Google ads. So the first thing that I want to go over are some of the biggest cautions, maybe some of the biggest mistakes that I see made in Google ads, because if you're not careful, you can actually go in and blow $500 or $1,000 just like that and not even realize that that's going on. So first, I recommend that you start with a small budget. By small, that's really defined by your company. If you're a huge company and your budget's $20,000 a month for marketing, $1,000 might not be much. For some of you, that might be your entire ad budget though. So start small. Usually I recommend a few $100s, to start with and just play with it. You could even start with less than that. That's the great thing about Google ads, but start with a small budget. Also start with smaller prices per click. You can actually bid per click if you do the ad campaign the right way. Try to err on the smaller side than the bigger side at first. You can always build up later and pay more per click down the road. So after you're starting small, the other thing that you want to do early on into the campaign is making sure that your website actually sells. This is a big thing. Sometimes guys will come to me and gals will come to me and go, hey, John, I want to do some Google ads. I go, great. Well, what do you want to spend? And they'll tell me, and then I'll look at their website and I'll go, well, your website's not going to convert anybody from being a lurker on Google to a paying client. So before we do that, we need to spend money on redoing your website a little bit, or even adding some sales triggers. By the way, a website that sells does not necessarily mean, it could be, but it doesn't necessarily mean a pretty website. Okay, I see a lot of pretty websites that don't sell. So let me just preface that. So what usually sells, just real quick, personalized stuff. One, you want to explain your system. You want to say how you're different. We won't really get into all this stuff about unique selling points and everything, but you do need to have unique things about your company, guarantees, pictures of your vehicles, pictures of you. They're interested in who you are. So you want to have all of that stuff. All that stuff usually helps to sell on your website. Also, there's a certain way that you can target when you're doing your neighborhood targeting, your city, your zip code. We're going to get into that in just a second. where you want to make sure that you're targeting people in your area. You can easily be targeting people all over the place if you're not careful. I'm going to show you specifically where that's at in a slide here in just a minute. But make sure that you're doing that. If you're in Atlanta, you don't want to be targeting people in Alaska or Michigan or Florida. You want to be targeting people in Atlanta. And we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Also, it used to be called AdWords Express, which is not, they don't call that anymore. And I wonder if they almost did that. Google's kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say shady, but maybe I will say that they're kind of shady in sometimes how they do Google AdWords. I'll be upfront about that, and they almost try to, I wouldn't necessarily say pull the wool over your eyes, but maybe you might call it that about certain things. So if you do a smart campaign, it's not really a smart campaign. What you're really doing is giving Google your money and going, hey, Google, these are kind of the keywords I want to do. Take my money and have a good time, right? If I get some jobs, great. If not, that's great too. Avoid the smart campaigns. They used to be called AdWords Express. Avoid that if at all possible, especially if you've learned how to do AdWords a little bit. Now, if you're already doing that and you're just spending a little bit of money, and you're just kind of getting your feet wet, okay, I get it. But once you really learn Google Ads, which I recommend that you do pretty quickly if you're going to do it, don't do a smart campaign. Smart campaigns aren't smart. They're basically giving Google your money, and then they're the smart ones, right? So don't do that. Also, along those same lines, Google will give you all these recommendations that they email you all the time. They'll call you. This ticks me off because a lot of the times these Google reps, one, don't really know how to use Google AdWords that well. Their real goal is to get you to spend more money on AdWords. You need to understand that, okay? Those ad reps that call you, all their real goal is to get you to spend more money on AdWords. If they can get you to get a little bit better response too as a secondary, man, that's great for them. But their real goal, more than anything else, is to get you to spend more money. Literally half of what they tell you is going to waste you money. How do I know that? I've talked to some of them. I've entertained their suggestions quite often. And like I said, I've got a really good handle on what AdWords is, better than every Google ad rep I've ever talked to, actually. And half of what they recommend, if not more, is just frivolousness and things that are going to usually just cost you money instead of get you new clients. So take what they say with a grain of salt. I do sometimes look at their recommendations just to see if there's something that I missed or something I need to reevaluate. But most of the time, it's just stuff that's going to spend you money. Don't bank on anything that they're giving you for those type of suggestions. Okay, so let's talk about one of the things I love to do with Google Ads is targeting ideal neighborhoods and specific neighborhoods. And so let's talk about really a little bit about how to do that. If you go to Google and you're Googling, carpet cleaning, your city name, or whatever cleaning service that you're doing, you're going to get this list that comes up. And what's going to be more attractive to that person usually in either the maps area or the Google search is somebody that's close, really either that or more reviews. There's a few things that's attractive, but one of the great things is out of the box, somebody that's close to you and them is going to be a very attractive thing. So I recommend that you do Google Ads based on smaller niche locations. And sometimes this is doing a campaign by the zip code. It could even be done by the square or 1 mile radius, believe it or not. You can do a campaign. If you only have one neighborhood within a 1 mile radius, you can do a campaign and spend all your budget just on that 1 mile radius. Maybe it's a high-end neighborhood. Maybe it's someplace that you really want to get into that way. You can do your campaign just based on that. So if your budget is low, I recommend that. Here's another just tidbit too. If your budget is low, I don't recommend, especially in a bigger cities, I don't recommend that you necessarily target carpet cleaning or water damage. And there are ways around that. Maybe we'll get into some of the other ways, but if you are in a big city, maybe target a suburb with just carpet cleaning, or just target a smaller neighborhood like this with carpet cleaning. One of the biggest ways that I see cleaners waste money is being in a city like Atlanta or Pittsburgh or some big city and going, hey, I want to target all of Pittsburgh, and let's go ahead and do a campaign for everywhere and just have a general ad for everywhere in Pittsburgh. Two problems. One, you're going to be spending a lot of money and you're going to be targeting people all over the darn city, which is a big area to drive. And you're probably going to pay more per click, right? If you do a niche campaign within a mile radius and just target that area, there's a chance you could pay less per click, but the big thing is you're only targeting people in one spot that you really want to get in with. So that's a really unique and neat thing to do, and what I recommend, especially if your budget's low. But even if your budget's big, you still might even want to do it that way. And so let's think about this and go down this road also. Maybe you Googled carpet cleaning. Maybe just you Googled carpet cleaning. You happen to be in a nice-ish neighborhood off of Olive Road or on the northeast side of Pensacola. This is where my shop used to be located. And not that it was all that great of a neighborhood, but let's say that that was the case. And you Googled it and you saw ads that showed up things like this, like carpet cleaner on Olive Road. Well, this is attractive. And now you've automatically got precedence over everybody else on that list, probably, and maybe even over the people in the maps listing, right? Carpet cleaner on Olive Road, you give some great benefits like 100% guarantee, no spots return. This is good stuff. Carpet cleaning on the northeast side of Pensacola. Well, I'm on the northeast side of Pensacola. Or if you can have a particular neighborhood that's called, and I don't know what your geographical location is called, but the main thing, you get my point, hopefully, is that you're calling out that neighborhood and saying, we're the cleaning company for this spot, so you should call us, and then giving big benefits. We're going to talk more about some of those benefits and some of those unique selling points too in just a second. So this is sort of a typical, this is called a responsive ad, which basically fills in various different headlines, and it makes it look great on mobile or iPad or desktop or whatever the case may be. But I wanted to just make sure I'm showing you guys this stuff, because a lot of times I look in a campaign and all this stuff isn't filled out. So one, I recommend that you try to put some of your keywords in, because it'll give you these fake pseudo website, like a domain link. Put in your keywords there. If it's carpet cleaning in Midland, Texas, put in carpet cleaning Midland, Texas. That's going to be showing up in the ad, and it's going to be attractive to the people looking at that. Also, fill out all sorts of headlines. They give you all, really, I should even fill out more and make sure I have a few more than I've even got here, but use keywords, especially in the top one. I recommend that you use your keywords of your service and your city name for sure. Give benefits. If you have a no spots return guarantee, if you have 100% guarantee, if you're going to give $25 in deodorizer, whatever you may be doing, put that in there. Fill out all that you can, use all the space that you can in the entire ad. And it gives you a little bit of a gauge to see how you're doing. Make sure you get to at least average when you're doing this. And yeah, I mean, some guys will ask me too, if this is where this is at. This is not in the Smart campaign. You can't go, that's one of the bad things about the Smart campaign or the Google AdWords Express. You can't go to this detail. You can't go to this level inside the Smart campaign. That's why I recommend that you do a regular campaign. I think they even also call it expert mode. So if it ever asks you to switch to expert mode, do it. You kind of got to do your homework. You kind of got to know what you're doing. Hopefully, even what I'm telling you for these tips will give you some good step toward that to be able to do that. Okay, now this isn't the only way to do AdWords, but this is the way I've always looked at it and have recommended for ease of explaining to you guys about the hierarchy of what to look for, because you've got a few different things in AdWords. You got a campaign, an ad group, and then your ad underneath that ad group. So realize that when it's asking you to set up a campaign, this is how it's working. It'll first ask you to set up a campaign. Underneath that campaign is an ad group. Underneath that ad group is a group of ads. Could just be one ad. You could have one, it doesn't matter. You could have one ad group in a campaign. You could have one ad under that ad group, but it forces you to set up this hierarchy, especially when you're in expert mode. It forces you to set this up. Now, the way I like to always design it is the campaign is usually centered around the geographical area. And it could be a city, it could be a zip code, or it could be even a neighborhood. It could be a 1 mile radius, right? If you want it to be, but it's usually geographical is the way I like to think of the campaign. The ad group is usually what I like to think of as the service. So the service, be it carpet cleaning, rug cleaning, water damage, whatever it may be, that's usually your ad group. And then your ad, you want to make sure that you're mentioning that geographical location. You want to make sure you're mentioning the service. You want to make sure you're giving unique benefits and sales messages. And then 2, you want to make sure that all of this is in harmony. That's a big thing. You want to make sure that all of these things are mentioned inside that ad. And you want to make sure that your website, your landing page, actually talks about all that same stuff too, that your service in the same keyword is mentioned on the website, that your location is mentioned on the web page that it lands on. And that's also called your landing page. Landing page is just a page on a website, right? A page that somebody goes to from somewhere else. That's all a landing page really is. But this is important to think of this way when you're thinking about doing it. And again, not the only way to think about it, but I've always found it's easiest to kind of think of it this way when you're doing Google Ads. So let's talk a little bit more about neighborhood targeting. So I want to make sure that you guys get this part down. And again, just to go back and stress this, is that neighborhood targeting is what you want to do in two or three different scenarios. One, your budget isn't that great. Okay, or even if it is big, you totally have specific neighborhoods that you want to get in and target. So I recommend that you do ads based on the zip code or even the neighborhood or that 1 mile radius or whatever that you want to do. All of that's possible. So when you do that, target in on that neighborhood. Use either that 1 mile radius or that 2 mile radius or whatever you want it to be, or the zip code. You can use the whole city if you want to. If it's a smaller city, that's totally fine too. Make sure that you target your keywords with the area name. So realize that the area, be it the city, sometimes even the zip code. People sometimes in bigger cities do search by the zip code, sometimes even smaller cities. Sometimes your keyword might even include your zip code. And also putting the known area, whatever that might be, the Scenic Hills Country Club area, put that in the ad. Why? If that's the mile radius that you're actually targeting, it attracts people. Just like those ads that I showed you before, it pulls people in and makes them go, oh, hey, that's me. I can't believe it. There's an ad. There's a carpet cleaner specifically in my neighborhood. This is nuts. Now, granted, you might also be targeting 10 other neighborhoods doing the same thing, and that's fine, but it's attractive to them because they're looking at that unique ad with just you. So it's good stuff and it's attractive to them. It can help you get a job. Also, here's the other thing where sometimes a lot of the times everybody falls off, not everybody, but a lot of the campaigns that I see fall off and don't complete this part of it. Making sure that that area that you're talking about, be it the city, if it's the whole city, be it that neighborhood, if it's the neighborhood, that zip code or whatever, make sure that it's talked about and mentioned on that landing page. Right? Maybe even putting a picture of the neighborhood sign or a picture of a monument in that area, that somebody that lives in that area would look at that page on your website that they landed on from the ad and go, that's me. These guys are the guys. They're all the time in my area. Look, they've got a picture of that funny horse statue that's over there in the park around our corner. Right? Especially if it's a monument of some sort, or sometimes we'll even do like a neighborhood sign, like coming into the neighborhood, like of a really nice golf course neighborhood or whatever you might have. If you can do that at all, your ads plus by 5, right? So do that if at all possible. So again, a couple of examples: ads showing up for searches in a specific zip code. You might do that, in that specific zip code. You're going to mention that neighborhood or that area of town, even if it's the north side of town or whatever. You're going to mention that in the actual ad. And then when they click the actual ad, the page that they land on also mentions that neighborhood. So everybody tracking with me, everybody following with me about what that's all about. And here's a couple kind of brief examples. This is for maid services, but maid services in the Scenic Hills, which was a nice golf course area near where my shop was. First time clients in Scenic Hills, call now for a discounted offer. Maid service in Atlanta, janitorial service in Northeast Atlanta. So you see how you're sectioning that out. We're servicing Northeast Atlanta. You get the idea. Okay, couple of other big high recommendations on Google Ads. Make sure that you're using the city name or the location in the headline. So an example, it could be North Atlanta. It could just be Atlanta if you're targeting all of Atlanta. A city as big as Atlanta, I'd probably recommend against that. Unless it's a smaller service like area road cleaning, that might be suitable if it's a lesser search for a service. But I'll tell you up front, searches like carpet cleaning and water damage are pretty saturated searches. So that's why doing some of these other niched down things can, 1, get you a lesser price per click, 2, get you a better response. Both things are great. Both things are exactly what you want. So use that city name or that location, the northeast side of Pensacola, northeast side of Atlanta, whatever. Use that in the actual headline of the ad, the top headline of the ad. Maybe even use it more than once. Maybe even use it throughout the ad. Run separate ads for each service. This is a big thing too, where I see a company that runs an ad for carpet cleaning and upholstery and water damage, and it's all the same ad. It's all the same campaign. It's all the same ad group. Don't do that. Have a separate ad. Have a separate ad group even for water damage or carpet cleaning or hardwood floor restoration, whatever the case may be. Run separate ads for each service. Also have separate ads for each city, each location, really even separate campaigns for each city in each location. Because remember that hierarchy, the campaign is really kind of the area, right? Also, ideally, and this one's not as big of a, to do, but ideally have a separate landing page for each ad. And I know that can mean that you're adding a lot of pages to your website. So that's not the top of most importance, but if you can do that, that's better. And a lot of times with WordPress, it's an easy thing to do. So if you can do it, clone a page and go over and just change the city name, right? And have the carpet cleaning page for each individual city that you're running a Google ad campaign for, or even at best is to have a separate page for each individual neighborhood or 1 mile radius that you're targeting, the northeast side of town or the Scenic Hills Country Club area or whatever it's called. You just got to remember, you're going to win so many more points in the eyes of your prospect when you're doing that type of stuff. A little bit more work, but I mean, if you're planning on really dominating Google ads and making money with it, it's going to be well worth it. And then after all of that, I highly recommend, if you're going to be spending any amount of money on Google ads, at least a few $100, do a remarketing campaign, right? Where you show up. Some of you have maybe been to my website and seen my ads that have followed you all over the internet, right? That's a remarketing campaign. Do that remarketing campaign where you show up on various websites after they visit. So how to do that is you put well, first we're talking about this. We mentioned this. I'll show you remarketing in just a second. You want to make sure in your settings that you're targeting people in your area. Under your main settings, when you're first setting up the campaign, it'll ask for the city. That's a given. Most people get that part right. But the bad thing, and this is where I kind of look at sometimes Google ads is like, geez, guys, are you serious? Why would you want me targeting these other people? By default, it's based on presence or interest. Okay, so here's what I found. And I've looked at stats on Google ads for literally over a decade, and I've seen this type of stuff. This isn't theoretical. This is like what I've seen. So, if you just target it here, I've seen cases where people were searching from China, South Africa, other countries, and it's like, whoa, are they about to move to Atlanta? And no, they're not about to move to Atlanta. What it is, it's just somebody doing data aggregation and they're clicking on your ads and it's costing you money. And Google by default kind of encourages that, and so you need to make sure that you're realizing that this isn't what you want. Honestly, if you're spending, I don't know, more than $500 a month, this could save you $100 a month. This could save you $50 a month at least. If you're spending more than $1,000 a month, this could save you $100+ per month, right? Make sure that you're clicking on people in or regularly in your targeted locations. So what this might mean for like Florida, this is where some of the guys, like when I'm in Florida, kind of worry about is like, well, what about the snowbirds, the people that come down just, for the summer or the winter when they're not here for the summer, they're renting the place out and they're not here all the time. Well, if they're regularly in on some level, they should still show up for that. But kind of honestly, that is the case where you may or may not always show up for those people specifically if they hadn't been in that area for a little while. But I'm so serious that if you don't click on this, you're going to have people in other countries that have no darn intent on ever hiring you if you don't click on people in or regularly in. So do that. Highly recommend that. Also, switching to expert mode. Again, I get it. Maybe you're just kind of getting your feet wet with Google ads. Maybe go ahead and stay on their smart mode, which isn't very smart. But as soon as you can, switch to expert mode, which is, there's usually a thing that says switch view, or I can't remember where else it's at. It's somewhere under tools or settings. But I'd switch to expert mode as soon as you can and be able to really, some of the stuff that I even showed you, you can't do. Because you're literally more so just giving Google your money and saying, hey, Google, have a good time. Spend it how you wish. And I hope I get some jobs. Ideally, go to expert mode. Big thing too, guys, use words that sell. Make sure your ad is totally filled out. Make sure you're coming up with something unique that your competition isn't doing. And here's a hint. If you're doing carpet cleaning and you've got other ads saying 5 rooms for X dollars, you probably don't want to go that route. Right? Unless you've got nobody else saying X rooms for X dollars, you don't want to go that route. Because I've seen this before too, where somebody goes, well, that guy's doing 5 rooms for 99. Let's do 5 rooms for 89. Well, you do that. Next week, that guy's doing 5 rooms for 79. So what are you going to do? Go to 5 rooms for 69? No, don't even go that route. If you see anybody at all doing that, I don't really recommend that you go based on that strategy anyway. But if that's already your business model, I get it. I mean, I know of big companies that are successful that even do X rooms for X dollars. So I'm not like totally bashing that part of it, but just be careful and be very sensitive to that in Google Ads. But use words that sell, use things that sell. So what are those things? One, like we already talked about in the top headline, the major one, use the service and your city for sure. Okay, and remember, every ad is targeting a specific service in a specific city, right? Every campaign is targeting a specific city. Then every ad group should be targeting a specific service. Mention things that are beneficial, no spots returning, benefits that you're going to give if you've got a guarantee, different offers, that type of thing. Also mention those same things down here, mentioning things like your 5-star reviews, if you're Better Business Bureau rated, your guarantees, your 30-day, whatever, 60-day, 90-day, whatever, no spots return guarantee, and kind of what's going to happen with that. If any spots return, we'll come back for free. Put all of that in there. Whatever, if you're a restoration company, 24-hour service guaranteed. If we're not out, we buy you, within X amount of time, within an hour, buy you a free steak dinner. This is powerful stuff, right? That's the kind of stuff that you actually want to put in a Google Ads campaign. Does it make you squirm a little bit to think about that? It might, and it probably should, but it's going to totally be attractive to who's ever looking at that ad, and it's going to get you a lot more recognition. So talking about remarketing, here's where that is, following them all over the internet. So once you actually have them visit your site, by the way, this doesn't have to be through Google Ads. It could just be them naturally visiting your site. You can put in a code in the back of your site that tracks them, and basically you can have ads show up all over the place. So for instance, it could be a campaign where it was for one specific side of town or one area, where now they're going to be on, in this case, CNN, but a lot of times they'll show up on weather.com or just various different news sites, various different websites. There's no always particular sites, but various sites. And then they're going to see your ad on those sites, and they're going to be like, oh, wow. And they're going to be caught because this is Scenic Hills. Scenic Hills is on CNN. Wow. They're going to look at this ad. Good chance they could even click on it, especially if they were already on your website. This is a remarketing campaign, and this works great. This is the case where it's on weather.com, right? Scenic Hills, free whole house, whatever offer that you had, or just whatever big tidbit that you had about your website to remind them. But yeah, great stuff. And that's as simple as setting up a new display campaign, targeting website traffic, and then targeting whatever neighborhood specifically that you want to target, and then setting up that. First, you have to have set up your remarketing code that you put in the back into your site. Your webmaster may have to do that part. Sometimes though, depending on your WordPress theme, you might be able to do that actually in WordPress. And then they've got a little platform where you can create that responsive display ad, upload a picture or use a picture on your site. And it's pretty simple. I mean, the hardest part is probably getting that code installed inside of your website. So we've got a little bit more time. So let's talk about SEO. I'm going to give you some just tips about SEO. I don't really have time to cover the whole gamut of SEO, but there are a few things, kind of newer things or just current things that I really want to go over. First, I just want to be upfront totally with you guys about SEO. There's a truthful bit that I want to just disclose. SEO is rough. It's tough. It's rough. And it can get real tough. Here's the honest truth. This is for my website, for Robert Allen's website, on Truck Mount forums, for almost every site. And I've looked intricately at SEO rankings for cleaning companies over the years. And I've never seen any website rank consistently for years and years and years at number one. Isn't that crazy? Even guys that have spent thousands of dollars, sometimes, $1,000+ per month on SEO. Why is that? Well, one, Google doesn't really want you to rank. They want you to spend money on Google Ads, and they keep changing the algorithm. The target keeps moving. It can get frustrating. There's times where I felt like, geez, I've got SEO all the way figured out. I can rank sites like clockwork all the time. And then boom, Google changes something and nope, that's not happening anymore. Whoa, what's going on? It can be tough. So what I recommend, especially for you guys, is to do this. Instead of concentrating on the whole big picture or the whole big, I got to rank #1, and I got to rank #1 in 5 cities, because I've worked with guys and we've ranked them #1 in a city, and then now what do they want? Well, that's not good enough. We need to rank #1 in 2 or 3 or 4 cities. Then you start getting into some really sticky stuff. But instead, this is what I recommend for everybody for the little bit of time that we got to talk about this. Let's concentrate on the easier stuff, the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that you can probably do. And I'm going to show you ways that you can get ranked just by some of the things that we're going to talk about, and probably some of the most important stuff that even if you do decide to do some integral SEO later on down the road, this is very foundational kind of stuff. So here's some high recommendations. Google My Business, which is at google.com/business, right? Go there and fill that out to the max. If it asks for pictures, put in 20. If it asks for videos, put in 10. If it asks for your list of services, put in all that you can. If they ask for your hours, put in all your hours. Fill it out all that you can, and make sure that that's done today, this weekend, right away, right? And that's all going to be, listed inside of here. Don't fail to fill out anything. Fill out all of this stuff, right? Another big recommendation, you've got directories that you can do for your business. Do those directories, okay? Google is kind of a directory, and some people consider them, they're pretty much directories, especially Google My Business. Yahoo's got one. There's all sorts of Hot Frog, Yellow Pages, White Pages, Judy's Book, Better Business Bureau. You can get listed on the Better Business Bureau for free, by the way. Kind of Google that. There's specific, ways that you can get in there and get listed for free. You're not necessarily a member, but you want to get listed. You want to get that free listing because it's a link. But there's several different directories. If you're wondering, just Google best directories for a cleaning business, and you'll get a list of like 30, 40, 50 of them, and go through those and make sure that your website is in there, your company, all your company information is correct. If they want you to verify over the phone, do that. Go through all of that. What are you doing when you do that? One, you're getting links from all over the internet from 30, 40, 50, 80 different websites. This is good stuff, right? But also two, you're kind of showing Google that you're a valid company. I mean, and we're going to talk about this in just a second, but wouldn't you agree that the best website in the world associated with carpet cleaning Atlanta, that's what Google's trying to do, is rank the best website in the world that's associated with carpet cleaning Atlanta. Wouldn't you agree that that website has, maybe 100 different directories from various places filled out properly with all the same exact information? Everybody shake their head and say yes, because that's the case. That's one of the, not the only thing, but one of the things Google's looking at, right? And wouldn't you agree too that maybe that they also had links from some local directories? Maybe there's a local Better Business Bureau section. Wouldn't they have a link from that? Even maybe if they weren't a member, they'd have a link, right? Everybody say, yeah, you would. If you were the best company in the world, best website in the world associated with carpet cleaning Atlanta, you would. And even from other directories, maybe on a realtor's list, or there's just even Google. The other thing that you want to Google too is local directories for Atlanta, Georgia, if you're in Atlanta or whatever your city is, or just local directories, Atlanta, Georgia, would be a good thing to kind of Google and kind of see. So do that. Fill out as many directories as you can. That's a good use of time. There are services that can do that for you as well. Also, make sure, this is a big thing. I mean, we won't get into the specifics of all what's involved in keywording your website, but keywords need to be present on your website, right? So make sure that you're targeting your city and your service, at least in your H1 tag. There's a tag there, which is usually one of your headlines. Sometimes it's the name of the page on WordPress, so it depends. You might need to get your webmaster involved with that end of it, but you might be able to figure that out in WordPress itself too, if you actually have WordPress and use WordPress. But you want to make sure that your city and your services are in your H1 tag and in your title tag, the main tag of your website. There's plugins that do that. Yoast is a really good one. All-in-one SEO is another really good one. There's other ones out there, but make sure that that city name is listed, the services that you do are listed in the description and in the title tag, bare minimum, at least the title tag. Make sure that you've got that stuff in there. Again, Yoast, all-in-one SEO, it's escaping my mind, but there's several other ones. Those are two of the most common ones that I normally use. Also, make sure that you've got, and this is a big thing too, make sure that you've got unique text and pictures on your website. Okay. I tell this guys this all the time. Sometimes they'll give me stuff for a website and I look at it and I can tell it's copied stuff from Howard Partridge's site or my site. And not that I care. I don't care. Google does. Google knows. So let's go back and track with this again. Wouldn't you agree that the best website in the world related to carpet cleaning Atlanta does not include a site that's got 90% content that's just copied from some other website? Everybody shake their head and say, yes, that is totally the case. That is not what Google assumes is the best website in the world related to carpet cleaning Atlanta. So your site should have unique text. Wouldn't you also agree that that website is probably got more content on it and more pictures on it and more text on it than the smaller site that has only got 5 pages? So if you've only got a 5-page site and you're in a big city like Atlanta, you probably want to add some more stuff to your site too, and unique stuff as well. If you've got copied stuff at this point, maybe try to change it and update it and make it not copied would be ideal. Not that it's always the kiss of doom, but it could be. So don't get me wrong. But you want to make sure that you've got unique stuff. If you're wondering, you can go to this place called Copyscape. The only problem with this too is if somebody's copied the stuff off of your site, their stuff could show up here too. But whoever put it up first, Google knows. Google's better than the FBI, guys. They know what's going on, right? They know when you put your stuff up on your site. They know. You're not pulling anything over their eyes. But if you're wondering, there's a site called copyscape.com. Go there. I think there's a free version, or you pay $5 and you can research all sorts of stuff. Also, there's some ones too for pictures, but ideally fresh pictures. And one of the reasons why I hate clip art pictures is because what doesn't help your SEO, and a lot of times it looks kind of just generic. So that's the other thing too. So put unique pictures of your vehicle, of you, of all of this stuff, right? Would be a good idea. The other thing that you want to do is concentrate on getting more reviews than your competition. This is huge. Again, track with me with this, okay? If you were thinking that you wanted to be the best website in the world related to carpet cleaning Atlanta, wouldn't you probably have more reviews than most, if not all, of the other competition? Wouldn't you have more unique text and unique pictures than almost all the other competition? By the way, if you notice, I didn't say that your site has to be the prettiest site in Atlanta. That's not what Google's looking for. Make sure that you understand that. It's better for you to have a bunch of text that's unique and a bunch of pictures than a super pretty, highly polished website. In fact, let's talk about this for a second. Part of the thing that I see sometimes, especially with WordPress sites, is there's so many flying in and animated things going on the website that's actually bogging your site down and making your site take too long to load, and that could be hurting you. Sometimes the pretty isn't all that you want it to be. Sometimes more basic is better. Okay, and again, there's a line to draw with that, but err more toward the content than just pretty. Okay, pretty doesn't usually sell. Nobody's ever going to call you because you've got a pretty website. They're going to call you because you've got the stuff that they were looking for, or because it showed up to begin with on Google. And if it's a site that takes 10 seconds to load, it's not going to really show up on Google, right? So be aware of that type of stuff too. But again, so your site, if it's the best website in the world related to carpet cleaning Atlanta, probably it's going to have unique text, unique pictures. It's going to have amongst, maybe not the most always, but amongst the most reviews on that area. It's going to have title tags tagged. It's going to have directories all over the place. It's going to have a great Google My Business profile. If that's in a big city, I can guarantee all of these things are going on, at least on a pretty good level, if not a really, really good level. How do I know? Again, I've looked at this in nearly every big city in the US over the years, not even just in recently, but over the years for quite a long time. This is the stuff that ranks, sites. This, again, foundation of all this. What would be more attractive here too, if you went to, and Google knows this also, if you Googled carpet clean Denver and you saw this, well, geez, this guy's got 379 reviews and they're all 5-star. Well, this is a guy I need to call. I'm not even thinking about anybody else. Concentrate on getting reviews. Do some things to get reviews. So there's a place that you can go in your Google My Business that is fairly new, that I was actually talking to a client about this, I think even today. And it's going to be in your Google My Business. So go to google.com/business, find your Google My Business profile, go in the home button. Somewhere down in there's going to be something about share review form. Click on that. It's going to give you your link to your Google My Business review page, that direct link. And that's what you want to give. You don't want to, this is why I talked to the client about this. I was, we're talking about reviews, and I asked him, how are you getting reviews? So, well, I'm asking people to go to Google and look me up. And I said, whoa. They're never going to do that. Even if they have a Google account, granted, somebody who really, really loves you might, but let's make it easier for them. Go get this link and actually text this to them, right? And give it to them via email, and that's what you want to do. In fact, we've got some new software that we're working with that does just that. Right after the service, we actually email them a thank you, and it says, if you're happy, please tell your friends and give us a review. It's got a link down here to click for reviews. Why? Reviews are huge, and if you're not happy, let us know. We want to make sure you're thrilled. We're going to make it right. At the same time too, we text them this exact same message. The same time too, a week later, we send them a postcard with this postcard actually right here with the same exact message. Anytime you can hit somebody with multiple media for that, text, email, and postcard, it's a win-win-win. And if you're lucky, they'll do it off of one of them by the reminder of some of the others. Don't just send out one shot and hope that you're going to get one of the most valuable things that you can get for your business, which is a review. And not only a review, a thanked client, a client that knows that you appreciate them, because that's essentially what a message like this does. I highly recommend that you do that. And if you can put it on an automated platform, there's other automated platforms out there too, but if you can put it on an automated platform, it's just great, because then you don't have to think about doing it. It's all inside the platform. That direct link, when they click here to give us a review, it goes right to your Google business page. Or there's other ways to set it up too, where it can give them options to give Facebook reviews or Yelp or whatever, whatever it is that you want them to do. But highly recommend that you do that on your campaign. So, do we have time, Doyle, to take any questions? We got just a few more minutes. If anybody's got questions,
Actually,
or am I out of time?
We're out of time.
Okay.
But let's talk to the audience about how they get in touch with you, John.
Okay.
Obviously, it's on the screen. You there?
Yes, I'm here. So they can go to hitmanadvertising.com, and that's my main page. My email is john@hitmanadvertising.com, or they can call me at 850-474-1110. I'm on the phone a lot, so if I happen to not be there, or if I'm out skiing, leave me a message and I'll call you back.
Well, John, I appreciate, man, you covered a lot of information in 45 minutes. It's great to have you with us, and appreciate your kind words about HydraMaster. And listen, like I said, I don't know that I know anybody who can make this complex world of SEO and Google ads appear. And you work with a lot of your clients to do this for them. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, I've been, and I have been. SEO is something that I don't do a whole lot of for clients anymore, unless it's somebody that I've already worked with in the past. But I do a lot of Google ads for a lot of people. We do a lot of helping for email campaigns and text campaigns, and a lot of that type of stuff now. So absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, John. We'll see you down the road real soon, and appreciate your help, and enjoy Colorado. Okay. I know that most people would think you're crazy for moving from Florida to the snow, but I know full well why you moved to Colorado. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. See you soon, John.
Bye-bye.